All right, let's talk about the future, the one that's literally in your hand. We're going to break down the biggest trends that are shaping the mobile apps we use every single day and what to expect by 2025. Let's get right into it. So I want to start with just one number, 90%. What's that about? Well, that is how much of our time on our phones we spend inside of an app. That's a wild statistic. It tells you that we don't really just use our phones anymore. We're basically living in our apps. But here's the thing. In a market with, millions of apps to choose from, just having an app isn't nearly enough. To get our attention and actually keep it, they have to be smarter, faster, and more intuitive than ever before. Keeping up with these trends, it's not just a good idea, it's literally a matter of survival. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll get a sense of just how big this app world is. Then, we'll peek under the hood at the tech powering it all, like 5G and AI. After that, we'll see how apps are getting way more immersive, how they're actually built, and how new gadgets are changing the rules. And it all leads to the single biggest takeaway for 2025. Okay, first things first. To really get where we're heading, we have to understand just how massive the app world is right now. And trust me, the numbers are pretty mind-blowing. Let's just start with the audience size. In 2024, there are about 4.88 billion smartphone users on the planet. I mean, just think about that for a second. That's over half the world's population, and every single one of them is carrying an app store in their pocket. That's the stadium every app is playing in. And wow, what a packed stadium it is. Between the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store, you're looking at something like 4 million different apps, all fighting for a little bit of screen time. It just goes to show you how incredibly crowded this space is. Trying to stand out, yeah, that's a huge challenge. So, how does anyone win in a space that crowded? Well, it really all boils down to this one idea. Everything we're about to talk about, every single trend, is an answer to this fundamental demand. We want things to be easy, we want them to be fast, and we want them on our own terms. The apps that get that right, those are the ones that win. So what's the magic behind the curtain? What's actually making this new world of apps even possible? Let's pop the hood and look at the core tech that's driving all this innovation. First up, the big one, 5G. And yeah, it's fast, like up to 100 times faster than 4G, but honestly, the speed isn't even the biggest story here. The real revolution is its capacity. 5G can handle millions of connected devices in a small area, where 4G could only handle thousands. This incredible density is what unlocks the next big thing. And that next big thing is the Internet of Things, or IoT. This is the whole concept of connecting everyday physical objects to the internet. We're talking everything from your coffee maker to your fridge. Because of 5G's massive connectivity, our phones are becoming the universal remote for our entire lives. Your app can tell you if your fridge is out of milk when you're at the store. It's that simple. Okay, so we've got the power, we've got the pipes. But what are developers actually building with all this? This next part is all about the experience, how apps are becoming way more intelligent, way more personal, and a lot more woven into our actual physical world. And leading the charge here is, no surprise, artificial intelligence and machine learning. AI is the reason your music app just knows what song you want to hear next. It's about creating these super personalized experiences, understanding what we need in real time, and even beefing up security by spotting anything that looks out of the ordinary. And then you have augmented reality, or AR. This is where our digital world really starts to bleed into our physical one. The market is just exploding. Look at these numbers. It's set to pass $21 billion by 2028. And we're moving way beyond just games. We're talking about apps that let you see how a new couch looks in your living room before you buy it, or that put walking directions right on the street in front of you. And you better believe all this smart tech makes a difference to the bottom line. This is where predictive analytics comes into play. By looking at our behavior, apps can start to guess what we're going to need next. And this stat right here, 89% of marketers seeing more revenue from personalization, that shows that when apps get it right, it works. This is what's behind everything from your custom workout plan to those perfectly timed sale alerts. All right, so we've seen all the cool stuff apps can do, but let's switch gears for a second and talk about how they're being made and kept safe. Because the trends in how we build and secure apps aren't just as revolutionary. One of the biggest game changers in development is this idea of low-code or no-code. Basically, these are platforms that let you build an app using a visual drag-and-drop interface instead of writing thousands of lines of code. It's opening up app creation to everyone, making it faster, cheaper, and letting people who aren't coders build the tools they need. But of course, the more our apps know about us, the more critical security becomes. And this is not something you can just tack on at the end anymore. It means building security in from the very beginning. We're talking about encrypting our data, hiding the code so it's harder for bad actors to understand, and using strong authentication like your fingerprint or your face to log in. Okay, for our last set of trends, let's talk about the hardware itself, the actual screens in our hands, and how our habits are changing. It's not just about the software, the physical devices are evolving too. Believe it or not, foldable phones are back in a big way. Sales are expected to basically quadruple by 2027. And that presents a really interesting puzzle for developers, right? They have to design apps with these flexible screens that work perfectly whether you're glancing at it folded up or watching a movie on the big unfolded screen. And this next one goes right back to that core demand for speed and convenience, mobile payments. I mean, look at this. By 2027, digital wallets could be handling more than 60% of all transactions. That is a massive shift, driven by our need for things to be fast, easy, and, especially these days, contactless. And hey, let's not forget about the screens that are strapped to our wrists. Wearables like smartwatches and fitness trackers are a huge and growing market. And for developers, this requires a completely different way of thinking. Apps for your watch have to be incredibly simple, giving you just the information you need at a glance, and they have to sip power to save battery life. Phew. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. Everything from 5G and AI to foldable phones and digital wallets. So what's the big picture takeaway here? What does this all add up to? It really comes down to this single powerful idea. Mobile apps are no longer just another feature or some side channel for a business. They're becoming the main stage. They're the primary place we interact with companies, manage our day-to-day lives, and connect with the world around us. And that leaves us with one final thought. We've seen how these apps are getting smarter, more predictive, more woven into the fabric of our lives. They know our routines, they anticipate our needs. So the question is, as this continues, what's the one thing you really want them to do for you next? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.